And welcome back to another CBB talk with your boy Will Dickinson. What a journey it's been on these conference awards. And we're on the final one. Big Ten. This is the only Big Ten show I got a little Penn State shirt because I fell in love with that Penn State team from last year. So, you know, after falling in love with that team, will I fall in love with the Big Ten team this year? I don't know. The last and final award show and conference tournament and all Big Ten teams I made, it comes down to this. The Big Ten, it finishes last, goes into Selection Sunday. It just started right now. Rutgers, Maryland playing. Pretty sure Maryland's beating Rutgers badly. If you're watching this, I think I'm going to try to post. I don't know if I think I'm probably going to post this in the morning. So you'll see it Thursday morning. But let's get into it. As you can see, the brackets on the right, we'll go over that at the end of the video. Let's get into these awards. If you haven't seen all the other ones, I've just posted yesterday. Well, yesterday. If you're watching this, yesterday I posted the SEC. Then I posted the Big 12 the day before, and I posted the Big East and ACC the day before. So we'll go watch those past ones. Let me know your comments. Let me know if you have any ideas. And after this, I think we'll be back on tomorrow, so Friday, for a little bit of just overall thoughts on conference tournaments and some bracketology update, because who doesn't love bracketology? Here it is. The first award is the Greg Oden Award for the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Last year's winner was Jalen Hood Schifino, the one-and-done player out of Indiana. This year, this has to be the weakest one. I thought, now this one's up there. It's kind of tied. The Big East was really bad. Big East winner is better than this one, but the other Big East candidates were trash. I didn't realize the Big Ten freshmen were this bad. I didn't even think about it until I'm going. I was like, okay, I'm going to Big East. I'll go sort it by freshmen. I was like, geez, these freshmen are ass. All right, let's go look. First up, Cameron Christie. This is Max Christie's brother at Minnesota. He averages about, I think, like 7 points a game. And look, he's a nice bit role player. And if he can become more like his brother, that'd be big. And maybe he can carve out NBA career. But I really didn't know much about Cameron Christie. I might have to go check him out. But Minnesota, that's the first nominee. Second nominee, Mackenzie Mbako. Former Duke commit, decommits late. Or maybe, I think he decommitted late or something happened where he ended up going to Indiana. Or maybe he got in some trouble. He got in some trouble, I know that. But maybe he was already at Indiana when that happened. Don't know the timeline exactly, but he's actually been very solid this year. Obviously, Indiana is not amazing this year, and they're not going to be a tournament. They've been playing better recently, but they're not going to be a tournament team. But he's been a bright spot. I'm assuming he's going to stay another year, and if he returns to Indiana, he could be one of the best players in the whole Big Ten next year. And finally, Owen Friedman. I'm going to let you know Mbako and Freeman won co-Big Ten Player of the Years. From the AP Big Ten voters, but we don't do over here, so you're gonna get one winner. Freeman's been very good role player for Iowa. I don't think he starts, or he starts. He started some games this year, but he's been very good. He can grow, and Iowa likes to run a system and bring players through that system. And once he gets to maybe next year, even junior year, he's gonna be a real stud, like a Peyton Sanford. But yeah, he has so much room to grow, and he's been really, really good this year. So who's gonna win this Greg Oden Award? Sorry, Greg Oden. Like this is, I feel like these players aren't worthy enough to have the Greg Oden Award, but one's gonna win it, and the winner it's Mackenzie Mbako. So Indiana wins back-to-back Big Ten Freshman of the Years. Obviously, he was the highest-rated player coming in, a 5-star guy. Again, formerly a Duke commit. Ends up going to Indiana, and look, he's been very good. Especially recently, he's kind of came into his own. Him and Kalel Ware have been really good. In Indiana, maybe they can make a run this Big Ten tournament, but I don't know if Kalel Ware will be a one-and-done player, and I hope he comes back and continues to grow, because he could be really, really good next year and maybe be in the running for Big Ten Player of the Year. So yeah, Indiana back-to-back is crazy. But yeah. Here's the next award, the Duncan Robinson Award for Big Ten Transfer of the Year. Shout out Duncan Robinson. He gets this award named after him. That's freaking crazy. Last year's winner was Jameer Young from Maryland. Last year's race was very tough. Terrence Shannon was in it, and I can't remember who was my third person, but this was very tough. And this one was really tough as well. On the Big Ten, they might not do freshmen, but they do transfers really, really well. So let's look at your nominees. First up, Marcus Domask. He's on my second team All Big Ten. I think he came from Southern Illinois, or I'm pretty sure that's right. It could be wrong, but that sounds about right to me. Again, a guy kind of came out, kind of like a Dunknecht, came from an unknown school, comes up, and he's been big this year. I remember that game where he had about, I think he had a huge game in MSG, was kind of his breakout game. He had a 30 in that one. He had a big game, I think over like maybe last week or 2 weeks ago. Marcus Domask has been, I think, one of the most underrated players in the nation. He's in my second team Big Ten. He was first team regular Big Ten, so he's been really, really good this year. And he's a really good. Him and Shannon have a great 1-2 punch, and I think that's why Illinois is very scary, because the emergence of Marcus Domask. Second is Khalil Ware from Indiana. I've already talked about Indiana struggles, but Khalil Ware was another 5-star guy who ended up going to Oregon his freshman year. I think he battled with injury, wasn't consistent, and he comes to Indiana, and especially recently has been amazing. He's putting up double-double, 20-point double-double games. He's been monstrous in this one. And yes, this picture is him taking a free throw. He's been bad from the free throw line this year, but he's been really, really good. I'm not sure if he's going to be leaving this year or not, but I think he has crazy potential, and he played up to that 5-star rating that he did coming out of high school, especially this year after a disappointing freshman year at Oregon. And the final candidate, I went with AJ Storr. Lance Jones could have been the guy, but I went with AJ Storr. Obviously, at the beginning of the year, I think this was AJ Storr's award to lose. He started off the year amazing. Was when Wisconsin was in the top 10. He was that dude coming from St. John's, he wasn't a big name at St. John's, comes over, and he's been Wisconsin's player this year for a team that's going to be dancing even because of their recent struggles. AJ Storr has been a reason to why Wisconsin's even in the tournament when they haven't been playing good. He's been a little inefficient at times, and if Wisconsin's going to pick up where they've been playing recently and make maybe a run in the tournament or in this Big Ten tournament, AJ Storr is going to have to pick up his game and probably average damn near 20 points, if not 20 points, if they want to go deep. So last year, Jameer Young. Who's this year's Duncan Robinson Award winner for Big Ten Transfer of the Year? It's Marcus Domask. Marcus Domask, in my opinion, he doesn't put up the best stats of these guys, but he's impact winning the most. He's the most surprising guy. And his breakout game was getting that FAU that came to my mind, FAU. And ever since then, I think he's had the confidence to be able to take over games. And the way he can play off T-Shan is huge. Him and TSJ have a really good duo. Coleman Hawkins. I really like this Illinois team. I think they can make a run this Big Ten tournament. And Domask, obviously, big part of that. I really like the way he plays, and he's my Big Ten transfer of the year. It was really tough. This was really tough because all three of those guys you saw were on my second team All Big Ten, so they all could have easily won that award. It was such a narrow gap, but I leaned Domask because I think he's on the best team, and he doesn't get as much volume as those guys, and still puts up similar numbers. Next up, the coach of the year. Here are your nominees. Last year's winner was Chris Collins, Northwestern's coach. This is the Bob Knight Award. I mean, who else deserves it more than Bob Knight? Just a legend. R.I.P. Bob Knight did. I think he passed away this year. So, I named it last year, but this award even means more this year for Big Ten Coach of the Year. First, a nominee, Chris Collins, is back. He won last year's Big Ten Coach of the Year after Northwestern was not supposed to be good, and they were. This year, again, not big expectations for Northwestern, but he's in here because, one, they finished third in the Big Ten, and two, or maybe fourth in the Big Ten, and two, they lost Tyler Barry. Tyler, was it Barry? I can't remember. They lost their second best player, is what I'm trying to say, or third best player, and they've steadied the ship. Obviously, Boo Booey's a big part of that. Matthew Nicholson, Barnheiser, they've been good, but Chris Collins has turned Northwestern into back-to-back tournament appearances. Never been done before in school history. That's what Chris Collins is going to do, and Northwestern's going to be dancing. And I mean, bringing Northwestern back-to-back has got to get you on the list. You won it last year, and he's back again this year as a nominee. Fred Hoiberg, second. Again, he's leading Nebraska to a tournament. They finished third in the Big Ten. It's Nebraska basketball. You don't expect him to be good. And we've seen him turn Nebraska into, a a really good team. It's surprising, but it's really good to see, new teams come in. I gave Lamont Parrish that SEC Player of the Year. Spoiler alert, but I did. Kind of similar thing with Fred Hoiberg is he led his team, a team that usually isn't good, wasn't expected to be great, and he's taking them to the tournament. So really impressive there from Fred Hoiberg. He wasn't a great NBA coach, but he was, of course, really good at Iowa State. Now he's coming to Nebraska and he's turned that program around. And finally is Matt Painter. He was also a nominee last year. And this year, again, high expectations are coming off losing to a 16 seed in Fairleigh Dickinson. You bring back most of the team, bring in some good transfer like Lance Jones, and you see where Purdue's at, back at the top of the conference and one of the best teams in the nation. This is a tough award, but my Bob Knight Coach of the Year goes to, I gave it to Matt Painter. Look, Purdue is probably going to be if they win the Big Ten tournament, will probably be the number 1 overall seed. And it's impressive to me that, you go through such an adversity like last year. It's kind of like Virginia, right? You go through such a tough time, you lose to a 16, your team could be derailed. You could lose confidence. No, they come back and they're better than ever. And obviously, the main concern about Purdue now is, can they get it done in the NCAA tournament? And I don't know. We'll see what their draw will be. They're going to be the one in the Midwest. But regular season wise, Matt Painter is one of the best in the country, and he didn't win it last year, so I feel like he deserved it this year. And he's my 2024 Bob Knight Award winner for Big Ten Coach of the Year. The final one, the Trey Burke Award for the Big Ten Poi Player of the Year. Last year's winner was Mr. Eady, Big Eads. I call him Big Eads. I can trademark it, but if you want to use Big Eads, I'm allowing you to use Big Eads because it's a great nickname. Number 1, TSJ. He was a Transfer of the Year nominee, didn't win it. Obviously, he's gone through some controversy this year, but he was amazing before, and he kind of struggled in his first couple games back. But after that, he's been back to his efficient, normal self, big-time shot maker, a guy who doesn't lack any confidence out there on the court. He's been so good for Illinois. He's been the best player on one of the best teams in the Big Ten. Next up, Boo Buie. I've talked a lot about Northwestern this year, and the way they've stayed the ship was because of Boo Buie. He's such a good point guard. He's now been there for 5 years at Northwestern. He's going to be probably the greatest Northwestern player of all time. And he led them to 2 straight tournaments. He's one of the best players, great playmaker, but can take over games when needed. And he's always out there in the court. I feel like he never takes a minute off. That's why I really love Boo Buie. And he comes in first team All Big Ten player, and he's on my the top 3 of Player of the Year. But then you have Zach Edey, the 2023 Big Ten Player of the Year, the 2023 National Player of the Year, first team All Big Ten this year. It's Zach Edey. What do I have to say? I'll just say my words. Because, all these 3 are great players, but I think we know who's going to win the Trey Burke Award for the Big Ten Player of the Year. I'm actually stupid. I'm actually so stupid. As you guys know, I've been having a little technical difficulties over the last couple episodes. When you have to make the whole thing and, create all these edits and the transitions, it's tough, and I messed up there. But the winner is Zach Edey. I don't think it's really a surprise here. Zach Edey's your Big Ten Player of the Year. I mean, he's probably going to win National Player of the Year. He's dominant as ever. Back-to-back Big Ten Player of the Year. He's probably going to be back-to-back National Player of the Years. He's a 2-time Trey Burke Award winner. I mean, what else do you want from the kid? Maybe to win a March Madness game. Maybe that would be a fair ask. That would be a fair ask, right? But yeah, Zach Edey, what else do I have to say? Absolute beast. I mean, you can hate him all you want. I'm not even a big Zach Edey fan. I'm kind of a Purdue hater myself, but I gotta appreciate the greatness that he is. And I think he might be a lottery pick, damn. He's been improving his draft stock for sure. Now, you guys kind of already saw this, but here are my Big Ten first, second, third teams. This was super tough, but here he goes. First team, Boo Buie. Talked about Boo Buie already. Great player. Braden Smith. It was between Braden Smith and Dawson Garcia for me. I put Braden Smith just because of the winning aspect. He's been the most improved player in the Big Ten. I don't care who you say. The growth from last year starting point guard, not really confident, really they pretty much lost the FDU game, to this year being one of the best point guards in the nation. It's really spectacular, and that's why Purdue probably has a way better chance of winning the Natty this year, is because of the growth of Braden Smith. Tyson Walker, MSU, expected MSU to be one of the best teams in the nation this year and just isn't. They got to go beat Minnesota tomorrow if they want to be in the NCAA tournament. And, Tyson Walker still has been amazing. He's been efficient. It's just a bummer that Michigan State's not that good this year. Terrence Shannon, talked about him, T-Sham, TSJ, whatever you want to call him. He's on my first team, and Zach Edey, obviously, on the first team. Second team, Jameer Young. There's just so many good guards. I couldn't get Jameer Young on that first team, but if Maryland was better, he would be on the first team. But at some point, I value winning just a little bit more. Marcus Domas, talked about him. He's on my second team. AJ Storr on my second team, talked about him. Dawson Garcia. I really thought Dawson Garcia was playing first team level basketball. I saw he was on the third team. I was like, what? I think he's damn near close, but again, I value winning. And Dawson Garcia is the best player in Minnesota. And if he returns next year or if he transfers, he's going to be a hot commodity in college basketball. And Khalil Ware, I've talked about him. Indiana, he's been really, really good. He's been the best, the brightest spot in Indiana this year. Third team was really tough, but I actually like my third team a lot. I was very happy with who I picked. Keisei Tomiyaga had to have a Nebraska play on him. It's going to be Keisei. He just lit up for 30 to end the regular season. He's one of the most fun players to watch. He can shoot it from anywhere. He plays with a lot of, joy and happiness and emotion. He's one of the most fun players to watch, has unlimited range. And I think he's going to be, if Nebraska wins a game in the tournament, he's going to become a March legend. Bruce Thornton from Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State's been playing amazing basketball recently under Diebler. I don't think they'll be in the tournament, but Bruce Thornton's been, the main guy over there, and he made my second team. He's just been very consistent all year. Lance Jones, the transfer. Look, I think this is why Purdue's on. I mean, obviously, Brain Smith is the reason Purdue's on that little, but Lance Jones is another one that he's transferred in and is just instant impact. He's hit a lot of clutch shots this year, especially from three. And he was that missing piece I felt like Purdue needed. And I had three Purdue players on here. They're the only team with three, and they're the best team in the Big Ten by a big margin. Peyton Sanford from Iowa on the list. He's grown a lot over his years now at Iowa. Iowa's not going to be a tournament team, but I will say they're a respectable team, will be an NIT team, and Peyton Sanford's been the best player. And then Burks Barnheiser, I wanted two guys on Northwestern. He's been really, really underrated, I think, all year as a big. He's like really consistent. And if Northwestern wants to have a chance to beat Purdue if they play in the semifinal, Burks Barnheiser is going to have to be amazing and stay out of foul trouble because the two games they played Purdue, they beat them once and they barely lost them. And both times they've been in really bad foul trouble. And that's probably been the reason they lost that second game. So, yeah, that's my teams right there. Let me know what you think about them. I'm going to go pause the recording and preview this bracket before we leave. All right, let's take a look at this bracket. So I believe that Maryland is beating Rutgers. I can check. Let's see. Is Maryland beating? I'm pretty sure they're beating Rutgers. Yeah, they're up 19 on Rutgers right now. That's a blowout. So, yeah, Maryland's going to look like they're going to win. I'm going to pick Penn State to beat Michigan. Michigan basketball is dog shit. Michigan to Minnesota. Look, I gotta believe in Michigan. I'm a fool. Maybe I'm a fool. I gotta believe in Michigan, man. Like, this is the point where Michigan State is like, you got to win this game. If you lose, you don't deserve to be in the tournament. Must-win game against Minnesota. I don't even think you're guaranteed to be in if you beat Minnesota, but I think you would feel, pretty solid going into Selection Sunday, assuming you lose to Purdue. And I'm going to take Michigan State to get this one. I think they need it. Wisconsin, Maryland. I'm going to take Maryland. Maryland's rolling in this one. I think they're going to continue that. Wisconsin's been playing just bad basketball recently. Jameer Young. How much does Jameer Young have right now? Let's see. 9 minutes left. How much does Jameer Young have? Actually, only 9. Dante Scott's been good, and Julian Reese has been solid. I think Maryland's going to roll. I think Maryland's going to get to that quarterfinal. I'm giving Ohio State over Iowa. I love the way Ohio State's been playing recently. And I'm going to take Indiana over Penn State. And I'm going to take Purdue over Michigan State. Look, and Michigan State I think would be in if they win, if they beat Minnesota, but they can't beat Purdue. I'm taking Northwestern to end Maryland's Cinderella streak. I like the way Northwestern's playing. I'm going to take Illinois, and I'm going to take Indiana to beat Nebraska. I need a one little Cinderella run. Why not be Indiana? And then that semifinal will be Purdue Northwestern. Give me Purdue and give me Illinois. I think I got 1 versus 2. I'm going to take Purdue to win the Big Ten championship. And until someone proves that they can easily beat Purdue in the Big Ten. I know they've lost 3 games this year, once to Nebraska, once to Northwestern, and one to Ohio State. Northwestern is playing them, but I think Purdue's going to win the Big Ten, and probably be the #1 overall seed. Because I think Purdue's going to be a 1. I think Illinois is going to be a 4. Nebraska probably like an 8 or 9. Northwestern probably similar. Michigan State probably a 10 or 11. I'll give Wisconsin like a 7 or an 8. So I think we could have 3 Big Tens in those 8-9 games, but we'll see. It's an end of a journey of this award ceremony. I'll be back soon to some bracketology talk. Go watch the other ones if you haven't. They're just being my most recent videos. I'm not making playlists. You can check out my whole season playlist that this is in. But yeah, make sure you like, subscribe. If you like the Big Ten, if you're new here and haven't watched my videos, go watch them. I talk about college basketball. It's really all I do. Thanks for watching, and peace.